Kia ora koutou. Take 2 of this week's live. Apparently yesterday was a little bit impacted by the wind, so it might not have been as clear as I thought it would have been. I guess that's one of the prices you pay for living in Wellington or filming outside. The reason I'm filming outside, the reason I'm doing another take today is the subject matter today. So I'm actually on my way into the city today to speak at the Dress for Success conference. So working on the weekends, which is not normally a thing I do, but I make an exception when it's to support an organisation like Dress for Success and the great work that they do. But this week, obviously, we have the Rugby World Cup going on in Japan, so this week's advice comes direct out of the All Blacks camp, and from Gilbert Anoka, the All Blacks skills coach. I was listening to him this week talk about peak performance, and he talks about it in this way of waves, hence me wanting to film by the water, to talk about waves, because so often we can find ourselves all go full on constantly, and that's why we feel so busy. It's why we can feel so overwhelmed. It contributes to this feeling of I just don't have enough energy or downtime or pauses in my life to be able to be at my best. And here's where the waves analogy comes in, because Gilbert Anoka talks about it in the way of when the All Blacks perform, they've got this wave of peak performance, which is game day, and that has to be coupled with a downward wave, a wave of rest, a wave of restoration. So this is, when they're playing cards or going for a swim, a time that the key is they're not pushing, they're not competing, they're not fully at their peak. It's that rest. And we can liken it to our own peak performance or the way we live our lives. So there are times where we are performing, where we're pushing, where we're striving, but that has to be coupled with those downward waves of rest, restoration, taking a breath, taking a pause, time for us. And if we don't do that, we can't be at our best, we can't perform at our peak. And it's so key when we think if we are constantly on the go, these upward waves all the time, without that rest, without that restoration, without that pause, we won't be able to be at our peak. So it's so key that we make the use of those pauses that we get in our life, that we have those downtimes to go with the times that we do have to be at our best and perform at our peak. And it's, we're coming to the end of September, we're nearly in October, the end of the year is fast approaching. We are, spring has sprung in New Zealand and even in Wellington, and we're at that time of the year where we can be feeling quite tired. Spring is a time of new beginnings, of growth, and it's often a time that we're thinking of doing things differently, maybe a time of change for you. However, if we're feeling exhausted and we're desperate for the end of the year to come because we've been at our peak and pushing the whole time, 24/7, it might not be a good time for us or a peak time for us. So it's pays to reflect on, those waves. Are you getting those waves in terms of your own performance? And as we enter spring and this time of new beginnings and of growth, what does the rest of the year look like for you? And how tired are you feeling? And what are you going to do about it? And of course, we're on the verge of Mental Health Awareness Week, which is happening next week. Another important time to be thinking about this stuff. And it's actually something that I'm looking at as part of the Thrive workshops that I'm running. So the last one is in Auckland. It's on Saturday next week, so a week today, Saturday the 28th. I've got just 3 or 4 places left on that. So if you want to be on that, please let me know. I'm going to put the link in this live because there are 4 places left. One of those can be yours. It's a whole day. It's a small group. It's a chance to really delve into this stuff a little bit deeper. Make a plan for yourself. Build your resilience. Look at your self-care. And also figure out those waves of performance for you. What does that look like? And how do you bring that to life in your life so that you can be at your best and so that you can thrive? I hope you all have a great weekend. Mā te wā.